They told me to disappear. It was not a shout but a quiet order. Just disappear, Emma said, folding a towel as if she asked me to run an errand. We had been married 12 years. I packed a duffel while she sat in the living room. There was no argument. I left the key on the counter and walked into the September dusk without a goodbye. The first nights felt thin, like paper stretched over a dark frame. I slept in a cheap motel under a buzzing sign, counting small things until sleep softened the edges. I took work fixing gutters. The labor left my hands raw and my head clear. Routine became a salve. Morning coffee, sweeping a stoop, returning to a small room with a crooked window. It was honest, simple, and it did not ask me to explain myself. I avoided anyone who might know her name. I stayed off social feeds, changed routes, learned to answer casual questions without telling a story. People offered quiet kindnesses. An extra sandwich from a coworker, a friend who let me sleep on a couch without questions. Those small mercies stitched me back together. Emma stayed at the edge of my life like a song that would not stop. Memory would sting sometimes. Other days it dulled into background noise. By year 3 I had a cheap apartment, steady pay, and acquaintances who did not pry. I learned to be anonymous in public, to keep my face neutral when someone mentioned our old neighborhood. When the 5th year arrived, I had not planned to mark it. I was in town for a job near the hospital. Rain had polished the pavement and the air smelled like wet leaves. I ducked under an awning to warm my hands with coffee from a street vendor. Steam blurred the world. I looked up and saw her. Emma, altered by 5 years. Her hair pulled back, a tiredness at the corners of her eyes. She walked slowly with a young woman and a man holding a clipboard. They moved with the cautious slowness of people handling something fragile. Our eyes crossed and time contracted. She froze as if someone had stepped on her shadow. For a second, neither of us moved. The young woman glanced between us. The nurse at the hospital door watched as if 2 small storms had met. Emma's voice came out small and brittle. "David?" she said, trying for normalcy and missing the mark. Hearing my name on her lips felt like a door opening I had not expected. I had rehearsed reactions in my head over the years. Anger, pleading, indifference. None felt right in that instant. I set the cup down and let the rain keep falling. She took a step back, fingers tight on her bag strap. Her face went pale in a way that made something inside me clench. The world waited. I thought I would flee, but something quiet kept me rooted to the spot. She swayed as if her body no longer trusted the ground beneath her. Her knees buckled, and before I could move closer, the young woman grabbed her arm to steady her. The clipboard man shouted for help, and within seconds, hospital staff hurried over. Emma's face drained of color, her lips trembling, and her breath came in shallow bursts. She wasn't just startled. She was unraveling. I stood still, torn between instinct and hesitation. 5 years of silence had built a wall between us, and now it collapsed in the most public, fragile way imaginable. As they guided her into a wheelchair, her eyes darted toward me, wide and glistening. There was no anger in them, no sharpness, only disbelief. Like she was staring at a ghost she had sworn was gone forever. I followed at a distance as they wheeled her inside. The fluorescent light swallowed her pale figure, and I lingered at the entrance, afraid to push further. My absence had been her wish. My presence now seemed both a shock and a wound. A nurse asked if I was family. The word husband perched on my tongue but didn't leave. I simply said, "I knew her once." Hours passed in the waiting area. Rain dried from my coat while memory pooled around me. I thought of our last day together, the way she never looked up when she said those words. I thought of the silence that followed, the emptiness I had carried like an invisible scar. And yet, watching her fragile frame being wheeled past, I realized she had carried something too. Perhaps the years had not been as kind to her as they had been to me. When at last she emerged from the examination room, Emma looked smaller, her strength dulled but her eyes alive with 1,000 unsaid things. She paused when she saw me still there. Her lips parted, and for the first time in half a decade, she spoke my name not as dismissal but as plea. "David," she whispered. her voice cracking under the weight of 5 years. In that single moment, the past did not vanish, but it loosened its grip. I didn't answer with accusation or triumph. I simply nodded, letting silence carry what words could not. Her collapse had not been just physical. It was the breaking open of a heart that had once told me to disappear and now trembled at my return. The rain had stopped outside. I offered her my hand, not as a claim, not as a question, but as acknowledgement that even vanished things can sometimes circle back, reshaped by time. And when her trembling fingers reached for mine, the 5 lost years did not erase themselves. They simply folded into the space between us, reminding us both that disappearance had never truly meant the end.